Welcome to the Miracles Happen Fertility Podcast, where it's all about using the power of your mind to create hope, health, and miracles on your fertility journey. And now your host, a dash of science and a heap of spirit, Dr. Maria Rothenberger.
Hey, welcome to the Miracles Happen Fertility Podcast, episode 104. When you don't know what to do next, do this. This podcast episode is inspired by a few emails that I've gotten of late where folks are like, I don't know what the fuck to do next. I have no idea what to do. I'm freaking out. I am this age and I have no more, embryos. We're not doing another cycle. We're not interested in IVF. I have no idea what to do. Lots of them. So if you are in that same boat on a decision-making path and having no clue what to do or how to move forward, this podcast is for you. Welcome. I'm so glad you're here to listen to this today. I'm Dr. Maria Rothenberger. I am your host for the Miracles Happen Fertility Podcast. I am a fertility coach and I am a therapist specializing in family building issues. I am now the author of the best-selling Transcending Infertility, which you can find on Amazon. And geez, I just have my hands all up in the fertility world and family building world, including child-free living. And in this month, March 2021, I was invited to create a podcast specifically for the Childless Collective Summit. You can find more information on the link on the show notes of this podcast episode. That is happening from March 18th to March 21st. All kinds of excellent speakers around living child-free, not by choice. And if you purchase the package, the lifetime access to the Childless Collective Summit, you will get my exclusive podcast for a part of that package. All right. So click the link on the show notes for this episode 104, if you want more information on that. And now I will just dive in to this topic. Freaking decision making, because it's hard. It is so hard, but it doesn't have to be. And I'm going to teach you a little bit about that today. So, listening ears on. Okay. I'm going to go back to like brass tacks here. This is like if you've listened to my podcast for a while, you can see the transformation, the progression of it. You can see how I have in the very beginning of this podcast a few years ago. I'm very pragmatic. I still am. I'm a Taurus. That's what we do. So I like steps. I like checklists. I love that stuff. But I'm also very much of the mindset that we are all living in the world of possibility. So I think about things in the gray area, things that are not so checklisty and color-coded and organized and shit like that, because that is where the good stuff is in the, I wonder what will happen if I do this place, which I talk about quite a bit actually in Transcending Infertility. The problem is when you're already dealing with a very anxious brain because of all of this family building stuff, it is very, very scary to let go and be in that place of possibility. This is an umbrella topic over what we are talking about today. But in order to help facilitate reduced anxiety around this letting go thing and decision-making stuff, I am going to be taking it to brass tacks, like steps. This is what you do. Okay, so this will help, I hope, in a way. We are going to, at the end, be talking more about this letting go thing and more of that possibility, I guess one might call it gray area thing. But let's start with some steps, okay? So the very first thing that you need to know when you don't know what to do next is step 1. If you are in the throes of a failed cycle, if you are in the throes of panic, if you are in the throes of something absolutely awful having happened, a loss, separation from your partner, whatever it is, please do not make any big decisions about moving forward. Total permission, in fact, it is required to pause. No decisions, please. Okay? Freedom from having to make decisions right now if you are in a really shitty place, okay? What I want you to do instead is feel the crap. And I know that is so difficult, but you need to do that. You need to honor the crap, because it's just going to come knocking at your door again the more that you push it behind you. Go away now. I'm distracting myself. Go away now. I am exercising, or I'm drinking, or I'm overeating, or I'm trying to just not pay attention to you. That is fine to prevent landing yourself in the hospital, but eventually all the crap comes up and needs to be attended to. So if you don't feel like you're going to land yourself in the hospital, please feel everything. Feel all the crap. Be with it. Honor it. Because that is the way into healing. You have to move through it. And if you have my book, Transcending Infertility, reread the chapter called Be the Bamboo. It is a total guide on how to handle hard things. There's also a podcast episode that I did called How to Handle Hard Shit that you can look up to or re-listen to that. But the book is really much more clear and step-oriented around how to move through difficult things. The Tools for Handling Hard Shit episode, by the way, is number 72. So you can check that one out too. If you don't have my book, by the way, what? You're selling yourself short, man. Go get it. It's on Amazon. Number one bestseller in adoption and fertility and metaphysics categories in Amazon, called Transcending Infertility. You can't go wrong by spending a few bucks on yourself. Okay. All right. So that's the first thing. Do not make any decisions. Please create a pause. Okay. The next thing you're going to do, step 2. Okay. Once you're feeling quite, I was going to use the word settled, but it's not really that. Once the edge has been taken off of the panic, once the edge has been taken off, once you're no longer standing on the brink of your ultimate demise, which is what it can feel like. I know that sounds a little dramatic, but that's what it feels like. It's awful. Once you have stepped back off that ledge, then it is time to potentially consider some options. Now, I wouldn't go into like full-blown panic mode again here. You want to kind of catch yourself if you find yourself spiraling down a rabbit hole, okay? So you can Dr. Google your heart out. I definitely recommend a time limit. If you want to give yourself an hour or two to Dr. Google your heart out, what are my options here? What are the stats? What are the blah, 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 and document so that you're not just going down a mindless hole. Document some options. Give yourself a time limit to Dr. Google stuff, okay? And then go for the real information. Talk to your providers. That is your RE, your nurse, your mental health provider, anybody else that your acupuncturist, your herbalist, anybody that you have hired to be a part of your team. If you have one, some people don't look for providers, which is perfectly reasonable too. And we're going to talk about that later, why that's perfectly reasonable. But if you have a team, talk to them, get their opinions, get their thoughts. Now, all the while, you are being objective about this input. Okay, you're not absorbing all of this information as absolute truth. Okay, and we're going to get into that in a little bit. That's that sort of gray area letting go piece that is a little bit scary, because when you are in okay, this is my personal experience, and you can tell me if you have felt similar. My personal experience was, holy shit, I don't want to have to be the boss of myself right now. I don't want to have to make these decisions. I want everybody else to tell me what to do because I'm exhausted. Okay, so part of that is absolute truth, and there's no problem in thinking this way because you need some freedom from yourself sometimes, right? And you want some freedom from having to make decisions and take control and, make the plan. It just becomes extremely overwhelming. What I am talking about in this episode is a hybrid of that. So you are taking some control and attempting to make some kind of decisions, but eventually you will be able to let go. You're not giving all of the rest of your attention to everybody else or every piece of information out there. You are going to turn inward. Okay, but that's later. Right now we're on step 2 here. You're considering your options. So recap, the first step is to make no decisions right now when you're feeling like shit. Just feel the shit. Step 2, talk to your providers. Talk to your team about their insights, about their thoughts, about what your next moves are. Then talk to your family and talk to your friends if you trust them. Obviously, that's really important. You need to trust the people that you're talking to. And then obviously, if you have a partner, talk to your partner. You don't want to lay all these things out, all this information out, and be a partner, right? You're part of a team here within yourselves. So talk to your partner about the potentials for next moves. So step 2 is all conversations and information gathering. Okay. Step 1, make no decisions. Don't even move toward a decision. Just feel all the crap. Step 2, begin gathering information. And that's from your team of providers. Those are the professionals. And then talk to people who know you and love you, like your family, friends, and your partner. Of course, your partner being the most important piece of this. Okay. The next step is the most important step. This is where you're going to pull in and listen to your absolute greatest strength, and that is your own intuition. Okay? So this part of the podcast is lengthy because I want to give you really useful information here and really useful tools to use to actually access your intuition. If you want help, by the way, in retraining your brain to begin to access your intuition, there is a meditation on my shop at drmariarothenberger.com/shop. And you just click under meditations. There's accessing intuition. You can get there. Okay, but this is how you do it. Okay. Actually, also, if you want extended information on accessing your intuition, you can look at the podcast episode number 59 with Andrea Ryder. Fantastic information about your intuition. Okay, but this is what you do. Now, so far, you have listened and honored the crap of that state of being where you're bewildered. You just don't know what to do, or you've been dealt your latest blow of a failed cycle or a loss. Okay, you're beyond that now, and you've gathered some information. I'm not saying you're going to be feeling hunky-dory, super happy or joyful or anything like that. You might still be a little, sad and under the weather and not feeling that great. That is okay. You're still going to be fine at accessing your intuition as long as you've paid attention to the real intense emotions and honored them. Intuition is not emotionally charged. That is a very important thing to know. There is an ease with it. There's an easiness and a calm and a peace with intuition that is not an emotional charge. It is almost neutral. Just a very easy, peaceful feeling. I feel like that's a lyric of a song. Yeah. I think it's Eagles. Wait, Easy. No, peaceful, easy feeling. Okay, anyway, I don't know. But that is your intuition, okay? So if you are feeling emotionally charged in any way, then that is not your intuition. That is your brain creating some chemistry that creates emotion, or your body creating some chemistry that creates emotion. Okay, so that's the first thing to know about intuition. It is not emotionally charged. So in order to access it, okay, and in order to move through your decision making, you want to create some silence, okay? Create some silence. Obviously, I'm a giant proponent of meditation, and you know that. If you don't like guided meditations, by the way, completely reasonable. Get silent in whatever way you get silent. Maybe it's a walk in nature. Maybe it's a soak in a hot bath. It does not matter as long as it creates silence for you. Now, sometimes in silence, that's when the crazy thoughts come up. That's okay. What you're going to do when crazy thoughts come up, and when I say crazy thoughts, I mean thoughts that create an emotional charge, okay? When those thoughts come up, you honor them. Again, just like the initial huge grief that you may have experienced recently, you're going to honor them. This is the script that I give people, okay? Thank you, brain, for trying to keep me safe. You're doing your job. You're doing an excellent job. I don't need you right now, though. I'm just hanging out and trying to be peaceful. So you can go take a break and I'll call you when I need you. Okay, that's all that crazy thoughts are, is your brain trying to keep you safe because you have been through some trauma. That is all. It's doing its job. Please honor it and offer it some gratitude. So then you come back to your silence, okay? What you will do now when you're in this silence is look at your options for moving forward. I like to call this trying on the pants, because in fact, that's in the book, Transcending Infertility. Because, okay, I am vertically challenged. Apparently, no, I'm just freaking short. Okay, I'm 5'1.5", depending on who you talk to. 5'1", 5'1.5", 5'2", something like that. I am short. So when I go and purchase jeans, it takes me forever to find a decent fit. And frankly, they don't really fit well. I always have to get them hemmed. So this is my idea of trying on some jeans, okay, or trying on pants. So there are jeans that I try on that are like horrendous, huge gap in the back, way too long, just super tight on the hips, not looking great. Then there are other jeans that come really, really close to being perfect and fitting my body. And it's like, and you put them on, they slide up nice, they close up nice, snap nice, button nice, whatever. Yeah, maybe they're a little too long, but these fit the best. And the feeling that you get, or that I get, I suspect that other people get the same thing when you try on an article of clothing that fits really nice to your shape. It's like, I feel really good in this. This is really nice. You're going to look for the same thing when you're trying on your options. Okay, so now you're sitting in silence and you're, quote, trying on your options for moving forward. Now, here's where the cool work comes in, and it's very cool. This is that gray area of paying attention to possibility. You're going to pay attention to what it's like, how you feel inside when you try on each option. Now, I recommend starting this with something a little bit simpler, things that don't already have an emotional charge, because moving forward in your family building journey is pretty emotionally charged. Am I right? So you can start doing this with simpler things like, what should I have for dinner tonight? Here are 2 options. What feels right to me? And then you pay attention to that. So in an upcoming course that I have, a live course called Spirit Baby Foundations Training, I will be teaching people more of this next thing, which is your clairs. Clairs are clairvoyance, clairaudience, claircognizance, And it just means clear. So like clear thinking, clear seeing, clear hearing. These are the senses, the extrasensory perceptions that I like to talk about. So you're going to pay attention to that. When you have a sense of what your particular clair strength is, then you will be able to pay attention to it clearer. You'll be able to pay more attention to it and honor it a little bit better. So this does take some practice. I'm clairvoyant, so I see things, I see images, I see little movie clips. Other people just have a knowing. It's a clear knowing. I just know what to do next. Other people feel it in their body. I actually also feel it in my body. So I'll feel an ease, a gentleness in my body when something's right. When I need to, forego the chips and have a handful of almonds or something. Okay. All right. I know that in my brain, but it also feels better to my body. P.S. Sometimes like the other night, my stepdad brought over some cookies that my mom had made, and it felt right in my body to have a cookie. It felt right. So you really have to pay attention to what your body is telling you, and your other clairs, claircognizance, clairaudience, whatever your particular strength is. But you could also just pay attention to what your body is telling you. I say it like it's that easy. Sometimes it's not, and it can be a little bit confusing. So you have to practice this. If you are in a state of silence, in a state of ease and peace, it is far easier to pay attention to what your senses are telling you. There is a technique that I like to talk about from HeartMath.com, and you've probably heard me talk about HeartMath before. It's an excellent resource for you probably heard my dog back there. Yeah, that's Jakey, the silver lab. I feel like he's got allergies or something because he's wiping his face all over the place and sneezing. Poor Jakey. Where was I? Oh yes, HeartMath.com. So HeartMath.com is an excellent resource for looking at research around energy medicine, energy works, things that help you balance your energy. What I love about it though is that it's a really great marriage of science and spirituality, which is totally my bag, right? So if you know me well, if you've listened to this podcast before, you'll know that I love the marriage between science and spirit. I feel like they are on the same spectrum somehow, and we're getting closer at discovering how that is. But the HeartMath Institute has been able to conduct research that shows the energy signature of the heart. That's why it's called HeartMath. So it's looking at the intelligence, they call it, the intelligence of the heart. And I've talked about HeartMath before, just briefly. The HeartMath Institute has found through their decades of research now that the heart has its own thinking and awareness and learning, and it communicates directly with the brain. Now, what's cool about what they've found is that the heart actually knows things, quote unquote, before the brain does. We've actually talked about this, or I've talked about this in trauma work too. When you experience trauma, often your body has a memory for not often, always, your body has a memory for the trauma, and often the body is signaled to triggers before the brain recognizes the trigger. The heart is the same way. It recognizes things before the brain can think about it. In one of their research experiments, they took folks into a lab and hooked up their heart and their brain to monitors, and they placed the participants in front of a screen. And the screen showed various images. Some were quite negative, some were quite positive, and they were able to note that the heart had a reaction several seconds before the brain did. Not only that, this is freaking crazy. Not only that, the heart, up to a full 5 seconds before, had a reaction before the image even showed up on the screen. That is absolutely crazy. It is highly intuitive, highly aware, picks up on energy that is coming, let alone energy that's already there. It's absolutely fascinating. Our bodies are incredible. Use them. So the technique that I'm going to be talking about is from the HeartMath Institute. It's called the freeze frame technique, okay? If you are in a place where you can do this right now, I highly recommend that you do it. If you are not in a place that you can do this right now, like you're out and about, hiking, driving, whatever, consider replaying this podcast episode, or just look up freeze frame technique and you'll be able to pull that up from the HeartMath Institute, okay? So this is an excellent technique for stopping the crazy, for removing the things from your life that are draining your energy, like really intense emotions from a recent difficult loss or failed cycle, etc. Okay. So the first thing that you need to do here is synchronize your heart and brain. They call that heart coherence. Okay. So what you're going to do is get a pen and paper. And I do recommend actually handwriting this down because it helps you slow down a little bit rather than typing it out working out your thumbs on your phone or something, or typing it out on a computer. I recommend actually getting paper and pen. Okay. So now what you're going to do is think about a situation that has been difficult for you over the last few days. Now, again, in the beginning, I would recommend picking something that's a little less emotionally charged than your family building journey. But you, by all means, if you want to try, give it a shot and see what happens if you do this with your family building journey. Okay. So you're going to write down a few words about the situation. Okay. After you have a few words written down, and that could be full sentences, it could just be a few words, 2, 3, 10 words about the situation that come up to you. So you're going to be sitting in stillness and writing these words down, okay? The next step is to write down how you've been feeling mentally and emotionally about this situation. So now you've written down some words about, like, basically facts about the situation. Then you write down the mental and emotional feelings around the situation. Okay? Then you put your paper aside and you're going to focus on your heart now. I personally like to put my hand on my heart. It helps me focus more into my heart space. So you get into a comfortable seated position and place your hands on your heart if that feels right to you. Close your eyes if that feels right to you. And you begin noticing your breathing. And you can just allow your breath to go as it is. You'll see that after a little while it starts to slow down. And you're imagining here that you can breathe in and out of your heart space. So you're not paying attention to the breath coming out of your mouth or nose. You're actually believing or thinking or imagining that you are breathing in and out of your heart space. And after you've been doing that for, a minute or so, you're going to make a sincere attempt to experience a regenerative feeling. And what I mean by that is a gratitude feeling or a feeling of joy. You can use a very emotionally charged memory, a positive memory. I often think about my dog, Dexter, who is in the book Transcending Infertility, by the way, and he's laying right down next to me right now, almost 15 years old, hanging in there. I often think about the day that we adopted him, because when I picked him up, he was this tiny little thing. He's a miniature dachshund, and he literally fit like in the palm of my hand. And when I picked him up, he immediately laid his little head on my shoulder. And I said, damn, I didn't think I was a small dog person, but this dog, he's mine. He's mine. And that gives me such a regenerative feeling. I am so peaceful, so calm, so joyful when I think about that. That's what I mean by a regenerative feeling. So conjure up in your mind a memory of when you had that feeling, and you're going to stay with that for a little bit. Now, really important point here, you can visualize all you want, but what is most important, more important than the images that you have in your mind, is how you feel about it. You want to create a very good feeling. Very, very important. So now you have this regenerative feeling, HeartMath Institute calls it. And now you're going to ask yourself, while you're in this state of well-being, you're going to ask yourself, what is the most efficient or effective solution, or what is my next step here? Now, intuition is instant. It's almost like you can't get the question out before your intuition has already given you the answer. I shouldn't say almost. It is exactly like that. I see this in spirit baby work all the time. I feel so slow on this plane when I'm communicating with spirit babies because it's so much faster there. Like there's just a telepathic knowing. It's just instant. I can't even get the question out, but I still do for the purposes of, communicating what's happening to the intended parents here. But your intuition is like that. It's so quick. You can't even get the question out. So if that happens, you'll know I've hit it. I know it. Even if it's completely different than what you may have imagined, it's still the answer from your greater self, your intuition. What you're going to do when that answer comes to you is write it down. Even if it's like 1 or 2 words, it's fine. Just write it down. So you pick up your paper and pen again, write down what came to you. And the last thing to do here is to make a commitment to act on those insights. And you'll know some anxiety may come up. That's okay. That is not your intuition, remember. Anxiety comes up because your brain is trying to keep you safe from trauma again. It's okay. Honor it. When you push that, or not push, but ask the anxiety or the part of your brain that's protective to just take a break for a minute, the actual answer will come up every time. Okay. So what you can do after having done this freeze frame technique, is to look at your responses that you've written down. So what you're going to do is read first what you wrote down in the beginning about the situation and how you felt about it. And then read your heart's response. Read your intuition's response to your question about the most effective solution or the most effective next step. And then ask yourself, which one seems most intelligent here? Which one seems more intelligent here? It's, hint, hint, usually the heart. Usually the heart. Okay. Now, does this mean that you need to only pay attention to your intuition? Well, no, I think that it's quite useful. Here's where, again, science meets spirit. Okay, it's quite useful to get providers' information, to get your friends and family and your partner's information, and incorporate this in a balanced way along with your intuition. So, again, practice, practice, practice. This does not come naturally at first, especially in the Western world, because we are taught about science, evidence. And I just like to say, an absence of evidence is not evidence for absence. That is not mine. That is a traditional aphorism. But think about that. Just because there is no because there is an absence of evidence does not mean that that thing does not exist. You have to really experience it for yourself to know, to really know. And there's plenty of evidence out there that is not traditional science, like this traditional science experiment, that's double-blind study, blah, 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 blah. But there is plenty of evidence out there that is absolute evidence for the presence of possibility and the presence that these things actually are effective. So, but HeartMath is actually very traditional science, FYI. All right, so just to recap here, you're going to acknowledge the situation and how you're feeling about it. You're going to do your heart-focused breathing. You're going to activate a positive feeling. You're going to ask yourself, your greater self, your intuition, what the most intelligent next step is. And then you are going to act on that. Okay? Some people have noted experiencing profound wisdom and insights from this experience, from this practice. Again, it's a practice. You need to do it over and over in order to get really good at it. Highly recommend, if not just getting yourself out of that state of absolute crazy, you'll be able to make decisions almost in a flash. It really is so fast. Once you get this down and you get the practice going, it's decision making becomes, I wouldn't say a total breeze because there's still a lot to take in, but it becomes so much smoother and easier. I just breathe knowing that it is so much easier. I just love it. I know exactly what to do in my life, and I wish the same for you. Okay, I hope that this episode has been helpful for you. If you enjoy the content of this podcast, please subscribe. Please like this episode on YouTube if you're listening from YouTube. If not, the channel is called Miracles Happen Fertility Center. You can listen to the podcast there, and you can watch the interviews that I do there. I video record those. So please subscribe, rate it. I love to see your ratings. You guys are beautiful. I love to see what you have to say. And thank you in advance. And as always, may you be well and peaceful, and may you have easy decision making, and may you know beyond the shadow of a doubt that miracles are on their way to you. Until next time, be well. Hey, this is Dr. Maria. You've been listening to the Miracles Happen Fertility Podcast. I just wanted to take a moment to ask you if you have been interested in connecting with your spirit baby or spirit babies. If you've been interested in going deeper and accessing your own intuition and learning new skills, using new tools to create a connection between you and your intended baby or babies. Coming in summer 2021, I will be beginning a Spirit Baby Foundations training. It is 8 weeks of beautiful, in-depth work with a group of like-minded individuals and myself. It is live, so that means you will be working live with a group. You will be working live with me one-on-one, and you will be getting some in real life stuff too, like things in the actual mail that will help support you on that 8-week journey through Spirit Baby Connection. If you would love to know more information about that training, head on over to drmariarothenberger.com/spiritbabytraining and sign up for more information and to get on the list. I really look forward to speaking with you about it soon.